A concordat is convention between the Holy See and a sovereign state that defines the relationship between the Catholic Church and the state in matters that concern both, i.e., the recognition and privileges of the Catholic Church in a particular country, and with secular matters that impact on church interests, such as taxation, as well as the right of a state to influence the selection of bishops within its territory. The Council of Constance proclaimed the Concordat to be the regular form of governing relations between the papacy and foreign kingdoms. The first Concordat dates from 1098, and from then to the beginning of the First World War the Holy See signed 74 concordats. Due to the substantial remapping of Europe that took place after the war, new concordats with legal successor states were necessary. The post-World War I era saw the greatest proliferation of concordats in history, although for a time after the Second Vatican Council, which ended in 1965, the term «concordat» was dropped. It reappeared with the Polish Concordat of 1993 and the Portuguese Concordat of 2004. A different model of relations between the Vatican and various states is still evolving in the wake of the Second Vatican Council's Declaration on Religious Liberty, Dignitatis Humanae, Church-state dichotomy. From a church-state perspective, the contentions regarding concordats involves two perspectives. From a Catholic perspective, the Church has the moral and theological right to enter into diplomatic relations with states in order to reach agreements regarding the care of its members residing there. This is the concept of libertas ecclesiae. However, from a non-Catholic perspective, Catholic Church privileges pose certain concerns regarding religious freedom, such as concordats give to the Church a privileged position that other religious groups are denied. Concordats may not be the same as treaties because they are entered into by an entity that is both religious and political in nature, viz., the Catholic Church, with exception to states which are expressly atheist or are identified as choosing anti-religious views, whereas any other treaty is regularly between two sovereign entities on a horizontal level, i.e., purely political in nature, and, depending on the negotiations agreed upon in the Concordat, some religious groups face the threat of being marginalized. For example, in Spain, although the constitution guarantees religious freedom, yet in practice, the Church is mentioned by name and holds a preeminent position among other religious groups. In recent years, debate has occurred regarding whether the Spanish government should maintain a concordat with the Vatican. Examples of concordats. Some concordats guarantee the Catholic Church the tax-exempt status of a charity, being by fact the largest charitable institution in the world, either stating this explicitly, as in Brazil and Italy, or phrasing it indirectly, as in Portugal. When the political will is present, such concordat privileges can be extended by domestic legislation. In 1992, the tax exemption granted the Church by the Italian Concordat was interpreted by a law which permits the Catholic Church to avoid paying 90% of what it owes to the state for its commercial activities. Thus, a small shrine within the walls of a cinema, holiday resort, shop, restaurant or hotel is sufficient to confer religious exemption. In June 2007, Neelie Kroes, the European Commissioner for Competition, announced an investigation of this. Then, in August, the Deputy Finance Minister in Romano Prodi's fragile centre-left coalition said the issue needed to be tackled in the next year's budget. However, after that nothing more about this was heard from the Barroso Commission, and a few months later the Prodi government fell. The Slovak Concordat ensures that church offertories are not subject to taxation or to the requirement of public accountability. This is also the case in Côte d'Ivoire, where far larger sums are involved. The Basilica at Yamoussoukro is estimated to have cost $300 million. And the additional running expenses for what is the largest church in the world are also shielded from scrutiny by the 1992 Concordat concluded with the Ivorian dictator. Hofauet-Boigny claimed that these funds came from his private fortune. A Vatican official is reported to have called the agreement over the foundation set up to administer these funds a delicate matter. Nevertheless, this Concordat ensures that the foundation's income and assets remain intact. It holds these funds beyond the reach of both criminal and civil law. It permits this money to be sent out of the country, and it keeps all the foundation's documents inviolable, in other words, secret. In Colombia, there was a crisis between state and church in 1994 when Attorney General Gustavo de Greiff accused several bishops of having illegal contacts with the FARC guerrillas. It turned out that under Colombia's Concordat with the Holy See, members of the clergy could only be investigated by ecclesiastical courts, which are ruled by canon law, and that the bishops were therefore immune from investigation by the civil authorities on what many in Colombia considered to be a serious felony. List. Further information. Treaties of the Holy See. Multilateral treaties signed by the Holy See and concordats with individual states. Of Germany, there have been at least several hundred concordats over the centuries. The following is a sortable list of the concordats and other bilateral agreements concluded by the Holy See. Bibliography. Baker, Michael. Security and the Sacred. Examining Canada's Legal Response to the Clash of Public Safety and Religious Freedom. Toro Law Center. International Law Review, Volume 13. Available online. DeMarco, Erica. The Tides of Vatican Influence in Italian Reproductive Matters. From Abortion to Assisted Reproduction, Rutgers Journal of Law and Religion, Volume 10 Spring. Available online. Hosack, Kristen A. Napoleon Bonaparte's Concordat and the French Revolution, Constructing the Past, Volume 11, Article 5. Available online. Hughes, John J. The Right Concordat 1933. Capitulation or Compromise. Australian Journal of Politics and History. 20 pp. 164–175. Metz, René. What is Canon Law? Petkoff, Peter. Legal Perspectives and Religious Perspectives of Religious Rights under International Law in the Vatican Concordats. Law and Justice. The Christian Law Review, 158. 30 online. Plikszova, Jana and Petunausova, Magda. Freedom of Religion, Institution of Conscientious Objection and Political Practice in Post-Communist Slovakia. Human Affairs, 18 June, pp. 37–51. Available online here.